San Francisco is about to become a moral sinkhole. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. San Francisco is about to do something I used to read about only in science fiction. A supervisor proposes to create a classic red light district and even supervise drug sites across the city. San Francisco has enough trouble as it is, and has seriously fallen from grace over the last few years, and certainly over the last 50, since I last visited it in 1968. This proposal proves what I told you yesterday, that morality has a hard logic to it. And furthermore, governments legislate it all the time, sound or unsound, so they might as well legislate the sound kind. San Francisco is about to do the unsound thing. Before I explain in detail why it is unsound, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. Be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of great merchandise there, especially this t-shirt that I have chosen for today, which depicts the philosopher Plato, saying, "No one is more hated than he who speaks the truth." One more thing. If you like what you're about to hear, you can like this video. You can also click the bell icon to get a notice every time I come out with a new one. In fact, do you see the new icon, the heart shape with the US dollar sign in it? That's the super thanks icon. If you really want to keep these videos coming, click that and leave me a tip. Any currency will do, so long as it's legal tender. Leighton Woodhouse and Mike Shellenberger, both the Twitter Files fame, and now run a page on Substack that they call simply Public. They have the scoop on this unspeakable idea, and I have a link in the description of their article. Supervisor Hillary Ronan made the proposal a week ago, as the San Francisco Chronicle reports, and I have a link in the description to that report also. She would like to have a supervised district for sex work in or near the Mission District. But because that kind of thing is not yet legal in California, she is drafting a resolution to urge the state Congress to make it legal. When someone asked her why, she said, and this is a direct quote, "I do feel that society's acceptance and ability to get away from the morality issues is growing." Unquote, Supervisor Ronan. That's the problem. Society started accepting immoral practices and getting away from the morality issues during the Roaring '20s. Today, decriminalization of prostitution, of drug use and sale, and similar crimes without victims is a staple of libertarian politics. It has also become a staple of progressive politics. And this is ironic, because progressivism in the decade 1910 to 1919 gave us prohibition. Now, why is San Francisco even thinking this way? Because they don't have enough police anymore. This is due to two causes. San Francisco supervisors don't even like their police, and with so many employers moving out, they can't afford as many of them either. Yesterday, Woodhouse and Shellenberger posted the article that I mentioned. They also dropped a Twitter thread having links to their article and to other articles backing their contention, which is, if San Francisco does this, they'll create a worse problem with sex trafficking, in addition to driving even more people to leave. This thread has 13 tweets. I have links in the description to the odd numbers. Each one will give you a link into the thread. And the thread has a lot of extra resources in addition to their article. And now I'm going to read you the text, which is all under Leighton Woodhouse byline. The thread begins. San Francisco Supervisor Hillary Ronan wants to legalize prostitution in California and create a red light district in San Francisco. If we do that, this gives total leeway to the traffickers to exploit minors, said Elizabeth Quiroz, who was sex trafficked in San Francisco. Supervisor Ronan's proposal is in response to the intensifying street prostitution problem on Cap Street in her district. But the sex trafficking that fuels that problem was exacerbated in the first place by State Senator Scott Wiener's bill that decriminalized it. The private investigators that Mike Shellenberger and I profiled, who rescued a 14-year-old girl who was being trafficked by gang members, told us that sex trafficking has risen as the police presence has decreased. That's because in a 150-country quantitative analysis, showed, legalization increases human trafficking. In Germany, where prostitution is fully legal, trafficking is rampant, and the clients are less likely to report it than in countries where it's illegal. The German system has effectively legalized, well, the R word, so long as it's done to a prostituted woman, a sex trade survivor told journalist Julie Bindel. We were told the same by advocates in Nevada. Women in the state's legal brothels are frequently beaten and, shall we say, taken in their rooms. Police won't do anything about it because the brothels are legal. Legality merely shields brutal criminality and puts society's stamp of approval on the worst forms of exploitation. Ideology is one reason behind the push to legalize prostitution in San Francisco, but another reason may be the city's contracting economy. The city is on the brink of a fiscal crisis since blight, crime, sky-high housing costs, and work from home has driven tech out of the city. For every new tech job, 4.3 non-tech jobs are created. Those service economy jobs are all disappearing from the Bay Area too, along with tech, making San Francisco's already anemic working class even more so. Meanwhile, office buildings are half vacant. That's all amounted to a projected 2-year, $728 million budget shortfall for San Francisco. The city's leaders could do the hard work of attracting core new industries, but that would require things like shutting down the open-air drug market, which would mean using the courts and the police. Since that's anathema to the city's left libertarian activists and politicians, they're choosing the easier route, drug and sex tourism. Along with Ronan's proposal, Assemblymember Matt Haney and Supervisor Raphael Mandelman want to emulate Amsterdam and legalize pot cafes. Meanwhile, Amsterdam, whose mayor is a pro-cannabis legalization Green Party member, is going in the opposite direction, banning public cannabis use and trying to restrict the pot cafes to locals because of the blight, crime, and hard drug use the trade invites. You can read more about what's prompting San Francisco's politicians to embrace drug and sex trafficking and what regular San Francisco residents can do to stop it at Public. And here he gives another link to that joint article. This Ronan quote perfectly captures the fatalism of San Francisco's leaders. Quote, "As long as there is poverty and inequality, we will have sex work," unquote Hillary Ronan. That kind of cheap cynicism is the perfect excuse to do next to nothing about 13-year-old girls being sex trafficked. End of thread. This thread drew a mixed reaction, but before I examine it in detail, I want to shout out to a sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor is oursilverlines.com. Do you feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You are not alone. The fluctuating economy, employment issues, and unexpected changes in life have left many families struggling over the last few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are learning the secrets to creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins or take advantage of the business opportunities this company provides, either way, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit oursilverlines.com to learn how you can build a legacy for your future. As I said, the reaction to that thread was mixed, but you can learn a lot from examining that mixture. I have links in the description to 8 tweets altogether sampling that reaction. On the pro side of actually legalizing the life, as they call it, one user challenged Woodhouse on his claim of concern about minors. So this user, who calls herself a leftist dedicated to logic, proposed an opt-in clause wherein an adult woman may declare for the record that she is in what's called in the trade the life of her, and that of her own free will, and ask that the district attorney not prosecute her clients. Or is our body not our choice, she then asks. Well, her logic escapes me. Time was when feminists decried that kind of thing, holding it tantamount to slavery. And that's not even to mention the particular feminist, Catherine McKinnon, who actually said that no woman could ever be said to consent to intimate contact with a man. We've come a long way, haven't we, with apologies to the Virginia Slim cigarette brand, when feminists have anything in common with women in the life. Another user predicted that the proposal would backfire and finally wake up the woke. Well, we'll see. Someone else pointed out that this sort of thing is rife at the border. Now here's an interesting reaction indeed. Quote, leaving out the morality argument, if legalizing it is done right, in theory, it eliminates procurers and sex trafficking because you need to be an adult and to be checked. But odds are it won't be done right. Close quote. Well, of course it won't be done right. Libertarian philosophy does not even recognize the concept minor as opposed to adult and will not even allow such checking. Yet another user dared Supervisor Ronan to cite her red light district on the street where she lives. And in direct response to the tweet about Woodhouse and Shellenberger's 14-year-old witness, 2 users had yet more interesting reactions. One of them suggested that maybe this is why Democrats want to defund the police, so they can score some action, right? What the other one said, I can't quite make up my mind about. He seemed to be saying that the police were somehow extorting money from the public purse. He said more resources should be available to go after the trafficking, but to that user, I want to say right now, that's just it. Those resources are not available because San Francisco has let itself go to pot, meaning not only cannabis, but the other usual meaning of to go to pot. Another user connected the left libertarian activism in San Francisco to childlessness, meaning that because so many San Francisco residents don't have children, they cannot sympathize with parents who worry about their children drifting into the life, or about someone snatching and dragging them into it. And now my analysis. Again, this goes to show how important morality is to legislation. It's easy to make fun of those who want to keep prostitution and drug use and abuse illegal, so long as you can't see the full effects of legalizing these things. San Francisco residents are starting to see enough of an effect that they wish to leave. Supervisor Ronan's proposal would bring in the full effect. This illustrates the flaw of libertarian philosophy, lack of respect for morality. In fact, libertarians have made a moral judgment. They consider only the immediate effects of certain acts in deciding to call them right or wrong. And as long as any one transaction between and among consenting adults brings no immediate harm, it should be legal. So say libertarians. Laying aside that libertarians too often treat children as little adults, this ignores the secondary effects of bad acts. Many libertarians do not even recognize them as bad effects, or if they do, then they say that one cannot legislate on the basis of bad secondary effects for the same reason one does not punish people for offenses they might commit in future. But one can predict these bad effects as readily as one can predict a fire hazard. That is the value of a scientific and logical approach to morality. It tells you that passing laws against certain consensual transactions is good public policy, not only because some of us find the acts themselves repugnant, but also, and more important, because allowing such acts creates a climate for acts that do bring demonstrable and objective harm, and bring it immediately. San Francisco already has a problem with trafficking, as Woodhouse and Shellenberger made clear. So the problems go beyond threatening the integrity of marriage and family. Though that in itself is bad enough, real people are coming to real harm now from the lax enforcement of existing law. Repealing those laws, as San Francisco's politicians are asking the state to do, would make that problem worse. Woodhouse and Shellenberger have illustrated that brilliantly and irrefutably. Morality is about more than personal preference. This San Francisco supervisor is proposing an equivalent of Rupert Cadell, the amoral professor character in Patrick Hamilton's play Rope, proposing to make murder legal. At least Rupert Cadell realizes the absurdity of his proposal. Hillary Rosen might never realize it. But that's the end game of requiring certain moral issues as regarding certain moral issues as personal preferences. What San Francisco now proposes, no city should emulate. Links to the description of the article, to Woodhouse and Shellenberger's article, to the article in the San Francisco Chronicle, to the thread, to the reaction to that thread, to my Declarations of Truth Twitter account, and to Conservative News and Views. I've also left links to the awesome CNAV Store and oursilverlines.com, as I also mentioned. You know already about how to like a video, turn on notifications, and leave a tip. On the end screen, I'm going to leave a subscribe link to my channel and links to my Christian governance playlist and to 2 other videos featuring Supervisor Ronan, one of which I think you'll find highly ironic. This is Terry A. Hurlbut delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.